Good evening. What makes jazz so wonderful? It's so human and it replicates life. In life, there are rules, but sometimes we need to make it up as we go along. In life, we call this thinking outside the box. In jazz, we call it improvisation. Jazz is the only true art form in the Americas. What's so special about jazz? Jazz is a swing and blue notes. It has a beautiful symmetry. It has complex chords. It has church in its call and response vocals. It has so many rhythmic variations. Jazz has roots in European harmony and African rhythmic rituals in the late 19th century New Orleans. The legendary Miles Davis once said, "Jazz isn't just about playing a note. Jazz is how you play the note. It's how you play the note, the very essence of it that makes it jazz. It's about the lyric. That's what scatting is. Scatting doesn't just look at the lyric. It's not about the note and it's not about the word. Scatting is vocal improvisation with wordless vocals, nonsense syllables, or without any words at all. Like babies making sounds, the jazz vocalist turns words into an emotive expression of the music that brings the jazz vocalist ever closer to the listener. Jazz started off as totally new musical style and has morphed into many music genres in the American culture. Rock, R&B, hip hop, pop, and other genres have been influenced by jazz. Jazz rhythms and harmonies have been featured in styles of music that produce a sway rhythm like R&B or Latin style tunes. And here's the icing on the cake. The Source TV radio network is proud to introduce you to Jazz Ribian. The musical fusion is a vibrant blend of traditional jazz and Caribbean rhythms, seamlessly weaving together the high energy jazz performance of New Orleans with the balmy, smooth, and tranquil beats of the Caribbean seaside. Jazz Caribbean isn't just a genre, it's an experience that will transport you to a listening paradise where all of the boundaries of musical expression.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dion Parson, and I'm honored to be offered this platform to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage. I hope you find our show informative as we bring value and compassion to you, our listening audience, as we explore the sounds of the diaspora. All episodes are recorded, therefore, you can listen back and share with your friends episode after episode at your leisure. As a child growing up in the United States Virgin Islands, I was surrounded and exposed to a lot of music. I thought music was, you know, a thing of life because there was so much music I was surrounded around. As I got older and started playing music, I recognized the difference between someone that was playing music for fun and someone that was really serious about the art of music. My first guest tonight is one of those musicians that was very serious about their music, and they made an impact on me. I didn't know this gentleman growing up. He was a bit older than I was, but a lot of the musicians that I performed with when I was coming up spoke of him highly. As I got to New York as an up and coming musician, I realized his presence on the jazz scene in New York. And I also realized how much he had helped pave the way for musicians like myself coming from the Caribbean diaspora. It's a great honor and pleasure to welcome as our first guest of Sounds of the Diaspora, Mr. John Toussaint.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good, man.
Excellent.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. You
Good,
know.
good.
Yeah.
So you're over in England.
Yes, I have been for quite a while now.
Okay, okay. And there's a
Mhm.
time difference. I'm in St. Thomas, as you can see. Uh,
Yeah.
there's a bit of a time difference, so I appreciate you. Well, you're a musician anyway, so the nightlife,
That's right. That's right.
nightlife is something you should be used to.
Yeah, I am very used to it.
It's good. Well, man, welcome to the show, bro. And we've been talking about getting together for a while, and it's just, this is one of the steps to make it happen. And I'm so excited that you agreed to be our guest tonight.
Well, thanks for having me, man. It's great. It's fantastic that you're doing that. What you're doing, because when I was coming up in St. Thomas, there wasn't much happening, as
Hmm.
far as jazz is concerned. There were a lot of musicians,
Right.
but there wasn't and there were cats that came before me, people like I'm sure you might have heard of, the
Hmm.
forebearers, people like Roan Creaky
Hmm.
and his brother
Hmm.
Neil Creaky,
Yes.
John Lucien, Kibo,
Hmm.
the Francis brothers.
Yes.
You mentioned the band, the Brothers of Soul,
The
you
Brothers
know.
of Souls. Yeah, my cousin played in
Yeah,
that band.
yeah, that band, and I was in Mandingo Brass, so we were kind of rival bands. It was
Yes.
a friendly rival, but
Yes. Yes.
they were much more established than we were, but we were making our way.
Yeah.
They were
So,
slightly older than us.
yes, yes. I mean, and I think I might have been like 5 or 6 years old, watching
Mm,
my cousin Johnny go to different rehearsals and practice,
mm.
and those band was very vibrant. But I remember everywhere we went to the horse race track or the beach or, even in church, there was always some level of some form of entertainment. There was, we were just surrounded by music. It was a
Oh, definitely,
amazing time.
definitely. Yeah, there was music everywhere, like you said.
Yeah.
There was music everywhere, like you said. Yeah,
Yes, yes. So
yeah.
let's talk about your upbringing. You were born in Aruba originally, correct?
Yes, yes, that's right. Left there as an infant and went to my father's island, which is Dominica.
Okay,
Yeah, and my mother's
great.
from Martinique.
Your mother's from
So
Martinique, so you had two different households of the Caribbean diaspora,
that's right.
that you could draw from. And I
Mhm.
understand that you had family members that played music as well.
Yes, my father played trumpet, and his brother played saxophone, clarinet, guitar, and violin. He was a multi instrumentalist.
Okay,
My
so
grandfather, their father, played organ in the church. You know, so there
okay,
was music in the house.
great, great,
You
great.
know.
And I understand your sister is a music educator as well.
Yes, my sister Naomi. She,
Yes, yes. So I knew her, from coming back home over the years, and she was teaching in the
mm,
public schools. So
yes,
I got to meet her. But let's talk about you coming up. You played in those bands, and then you decided to go to college. How did that transpire?
well, once I started playing in high school, it happened quickly. I I just had a knack for it. And I made quick progress. And my teacher at the time, his name was Charles Cox, who was
Hmm.
at the high school. He recommended me. He wrote recommendations for me for Berkeley College of Music. Now
Okay.
I had heard of Joe Francis, Wayne's older brother.
Mm-hmm.
the saxophonist with Brothers of Soul. He had
Mm-hmm.
gone to Berkeley,
Okay.
so I knew there was, somebody before me who had done that. So I
Okay.
thought,
Okay. So
okay,
you had allies up there.
yeah. So I thought, yeah, I want to do that. And I went, and when I first got there, I wasn't really into jazz. I was playing calypso, reggae. You know, I really loved soul and funk. You know, and smooth jazz, what they call smooth jazz now, even though at the time it wasn't. Grover Washington was one of my first main influences. The
Okay.
record Mr. Magic from the 70s was big. I used to play along to that all the time. Ronnie Laws, brother of Hubert Laws, he was
Mm-hmm.
also. But as soon as I got to Berkeley, then I started to learn about Coltrane and Wayne Shorter and Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk, all the legends of this music, Miles Davis. And it just changed my path, as far as the music that I was going into. Because I saw myself as playing in a horn section, which is what I was doing in the islands.
Right.
I thought,
Right.
yeah, I'll go over there and learn how to play funk, and
Mm.
be like Earth, Wind and Fire or something.
Right. Right. Or the JB horns or something.
Yeah, JB horns. Yeah, yeah. So that's
Because
what I was thinking.
coming up, all of the bands had horn sections. You had at
Yeah,
least two trumpets, a trombone, two saxophones. Yeah, so
that's
that's what
right.
we knew. Yeah, all of the
Yeah,
bands were like orchestras.
yeah,
They
that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So Berkeley gave you a different perspective on
Yeah,
being more of a
definitely.
soloist and a improviser.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as I got bitten by that bug, there was no turning back. I had to like see it through and just chase it down. And I'm still chasing the dream. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what it's about.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling. So after Berkeley, you ended up in New York. So take us to New York. How you got there?
Well, I was fortunate while I was in Boston to have lessons with the great Billy Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy, after the first couple of years that I had lessons with him, he got the job with Art Blakey.
Okay.
So he went off on the road, and he still had a connection to Berkeley. So when he was ready to leave the band, because he was coming back to teach all the time, he told me I should come down to New York and audition.
Okay.
And I mean, he was going to help me. My foot was already in the door with him there.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
he's sort of bringing in somebody to take his place.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew Donald Harrison, the alto player in the band, because
Mm-hmm.
he was at Berkeley with me.
Right.
And I met Terrence Blanchard, the trumpeter from the band.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go to Berkeley, but he came from New Orleans with Donald. So I
Right.
met him through Donald. And I met both of them, and we got on. So I was able to fortunately make the audition and get in. Not because I was better than anybody else that auditioned, but because I had friends in the band.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's good to have friends in high places.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, but I worked on this stuff as well.
Mm.
Because once you get that gig, then you got to keep it.
You got to keep it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's a
So
pristine gig because a lot of the leaders of the jazz world came out of that band. The Lee
came through
Morgan,
that. Yeah.
Wayne Shorters, Curtis Fuller, and
Freddie Hubbard.
Freddie Hubbard. Yeah. You
Mm,
mentioned some names that are dear to me because
mm.
Terrence Blanchard went to Rutgers University. I attended Rutgers.
Oh, okay.
I played with Terrence when I got to New York, and
Mm,
I came to New York playing with a trombone player named Ray Anderson. And the first gig I got after I left Ray, after being in New York for 3 years,
mm.
was Donald Harrison.
Oh, okay.
And Donald spoke, the first word out of his
Mm,
mouth was, "John Toussaint, your homeboy."
yeah,
And I
yeah,
rekindled, because we didn't
mm,
have that connection because I
yeah,
didn't see you or connect with you after you left the island.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, it was really good to hear your name again, and
Mm,
yeah, so that
mm.
was a good connection with Donald and Terrence and having that in place, man. So that's great, man. And you paved the way for folks like myself coming from the Caribbean, because a lot of people don't really realize that the jazz music, especially in the 50s or 60s, there was a lot of musicians with either from the Caribbean or Caribbean influence playing
definitely
jazz music.
Definitely.
I thought it was just like New Orleans and Chicago, but the historical component of the musicians that was playing that music have huge Caribbean backgrounds.
Oh, definitely. Sonny Rollins, his mother was from St. Thomas.
Yes, Sonny Rollins.
Wynton Kelly is from Jamaica.
Wynton Kelly. Paul West, our good friend Paul West from St. Croix. He's still playing.
Oscar Peterson's family is from Jamaica, I think, as well. One of the Caribbeans.
Roy Haynes' family as well. Al Harewood, the drummer, I think he came from the Bahamas.
Oh, there's a lot, man. There's a lot.
Oh, a lot of folks. Yeah, so listen, I want to jump into some of your music right now, because we could sit and talk forever, but I know you've been doing so much wonderful playing, and our audience would love to hear that. Do you mind if we play one of your songs right now?
Yeah. What do you have queued up? I don't know.
It's a surprise, and then you
we
tell.
didn't discuss it. Okay, all right, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, John, for that wonderful song. Can you share with our listening audience the name of that song and the inspiration behind of it?
That song is entitled Kalila, and it's
Mhm.
written for my sister. If you
Okay.
look to the extreme right of the photograph, the album cover, the
Mhm.
little one there is me, and the girl next to her, that's Kalila. That's my
Okay.
sister.
Okay.
So it's dedicated to her. In fact, all the music on the record is dedicated to my siblings and
Nice.
some other people. You know.
Nice. Nice. You find that you get your inspiration from your family coming from a musical background. You get a lot
Oh,
of information.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
And they've been very supportive of your journey.
Yep, yep, definitely. They always supported me. Over the pandemic, the lockdown, I guess a lot of people started dwelling on their family, because there was so much going on,
Hmm.
and I found myself thinking about my siblings a lot.
Okay.
So I thought I'd pay musical tribute to them on this project, and this is my latest project, and it came out in June, and
Okay.
I'm just doing some gigs to support that and trying to get it out there.
Okay, good, good. That's great. So speaking of gigs, share with us some of the projects you have. Well, this project you just put out, the songs for sisters and brothers and others. That's a great
Hmm.
project. You have any upcoming gigs you want to share with our listening audience?
Yeah, I'm playing some gigs in London, and across the country, across the UK.
Okay, so they can go on your
Uh,
website and follow your schedule.
well, my website is down at the moment because
Okay,
I
okay.
find that I'm using Facebook and Instagram a lot more. So
Yes,
that's
yeah,
where I put up the gigs. That's where I advertise my gigs.
right, right.
So through Facebook or Instagram, they can definitely people in this country can check that out.
Okay, great, great. So share with us putting that project together, getting the inspiration from your family. When you're putting a project together, share with the audience the musicians. How do you pick your musicians? Some folks I know they have a favorite bass player and they have a favorite pianist, or some people pick musicians based on their projects. The musicians that's involved with this because it seems that this was a personal project, being that it's paying homage to your family. How did you pick the musicians and who are the musicians on the
Well, I have the great Jason Rebello on piano. He's a London pianist, very well known. He played with many people, Sting, Jeff Beck, as well as his own things.
Mhm.
And we go way back. So, a lot of the musicians on there I've known for many, many years,
Okay.
and they're the first call. They're the people I call first, and if they can do it, we go for it. If they can't do it, then there's a list that I go
Right.
down. Of people
Mhm.
that I try to get. The alto player at the end of that track is the great Sueto Kinch, who
Yeah,
is
I know Soweto. Yes.
a British saxophonist and
Mhm.
MC as well. And the trumpeter is Byron Wallen,
Mhm.
and the trombonist is Dennis Rollins, and these are all pretty very high profile musicians on the
Mhm.
UK jazz scene. So,
Yes.
they, you know, so I try to get the best people that I can get, and
Mhm.
they seem to like working with me, so we go for it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It sounds wonderful. It sounds wonderful, and I
Oh,
really
thank you.
project. So, being that this show is called Sound of the Diaspora, how does this connect? I mean, for me, when I put a project together, I think of the story I want to tell musically and how do I want to get it out. And you have a heavy Caribbean background, and then you live in England, and I know what the scene is in England because I spent many years over there. How do you feel your music connect to the diaspora of our culture?
Well, a lot of the musicians in England,
Mhm.
have exactly the same background as I do, because their family all come from the Caribbean. You see,
Right,
so all of them, without a doubt.
right,
So we kind of speak each other's language,
right.
not musically, not
Hmm.
not just verbally, but musically as well.
Correct.
So it makes it easy to connect and get your ideas across when people are coming from the same sort of foundation, you know.
Hmm.
And
Great.
so that's where that's coming from, you know.
Okay, that's good to know. Because I hear the music, and this was like a nice, very earthy, 8-note feel song with
Mm,
a nice vibe to it, and it was very emotional to me because it was a warm
mm,
feeling, but it had, especially when Soweto came in with that sax solo, it brought up some emotions in the music.
mm, yeah,
You think that's one of the things that coming from the Caribbean, having that background, we have a different influence because what I found growing up, we had the influence of American popular music.
mm.
We had the influence being next to Puerto Rico of salsa and bomba.
That's right. That's
We had
right.
the merengue from the Dominican side, and then we had the Haitian music. We had zouk music from the French islands of Martinique and Guadeloupe, and
And
then
don't
of
forget Calypso from Trinidad.
Trinidad, exactly. We had the
You
calypso from
know,
Trinidad, and then of course we had the reggae
from
from
Jamaica.
Jamaica. So our culture, you know, we really is like a it's like a salad bowl. We have lettuce,
Mm,
carrot, cucumbers, red onions. I mean, we have all of this stuff, and I found growing up, and we're not even discussing the traditional classical music and the John Philip Sousa marching music we did in
yeah,
school. This is
yeah,
all
yeah,
school. So we have a
yeah.
very rich
I remember that.
cultural foundation that a lot of people don't get because when I went to college, I found that most of the musicians had the traditional band upbringing. They knew concert band music, they knew the John Philip Styles and Stripe Forever, and then they knew the
Hmm.
jazz band repertoire, and then they
Hmm.
had like R&B background
Yeah, yeah,
or rock and roll, and that was it. There was no clave, no salsa, no nothing. That was
yeah. That's
foreign.
true. That's
That
true.
was
That's true.
completely foreign. So I found that, I ended up playing, when I got to New York, I ended up playing so many different types of gig. I would go out with African bands, I would go out with reggae bands, I was touring with
Yeah,
Barbara Strangling. So in my eyes, I think we had a well-rounded, we may not have the musical foundation from the theoretical standpoint as other
hmm.
folk, but the exposure to the abundance of music, that's a whole
Oh
nother
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The variety is great. You know,
right. And I
I
think it
mean,
makes
the band I played in,
go ahead.
uh, Mandingo Brass. What we used to do was every year we would learn all the Trinidadian calypsos
Right.
that came out for
Mhm,
Carnival that year, and this
mhm.
is how this is what we cut our teeth on.
Right, right.
This is the stuff that we used to do, and like you said, Puerto Rico, we listened to the salsa stuff. Jamaica,
Mhm.
we listened to the reggae stuff. You know, even South America, we had some Brazilian
And
and
the Brazil, yeah, because
and uh
all of the dance, but we didn't have the internet or radio on a level. And I know in Jamaica they had the sound system that was a big thing. They had guys that
yeah,
would go around with huge sound system.
yeah,
We didn't have that in the Virgin Islands. We had
yeah,
bands that played. They played a Latin set. They played a
yeah,
calypso set. They played a reggae set, and in some cases they played jazz sets.
yeah, yeah.
Jepsen Band of Renown, man, they used to sing
Yep,
all
yep.
the Frank Sinatra tunes. That was the first time I heard, I did it my way was Jepsen Band of Renown. I mean, all of
Mm.
those things. So
I
it's
remember that band,
oh yeah, I was
and and that band had the music of the Virgin Islands. They played the
yeah,
music,
yeah,
indigenous music of the Virgin Islands.
right, right,
That
right.
was,
The
I learned
Quailvin
a lot.
music, the scratch
Yep,
band music, all of that.
that's
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
I just found that being from the Virgin Islands, just gave us a whole wealth of information that the rest of the world didn't get, just
Yeah,
because of the diaspora. Just
yeah,
it's
yeah.
we go from island to island, and each island we're playing the same rhythm. We're playing that same calypso.
That's right. Yeah,
But we might call it
yeah.
something different.
That's
But it's
right.
a
That's right.
different tinge and a different flair, and it's really amazing, man. It's really
Yeah.
amazing, and I just wanted to ask you that because all of the cats from the Caribbean that I've spoken to over the years, there's an element of the Caribbean diaspora that's in everything they do. Everything they do.
And traveling the world, I've discovered you can find it in African music as well. It's coming right out of African music. So there's that downbeat, that you get in African music. You get it in Caribbean music as well.
Caribbean music as well. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so.
It's really interesting, man. So I have another question. So, saying all of that, my experience is just, I saw the wealth of information I had once I went to the US. Was it like that when you got to New York? Because I know you came up, you went into the messengers, which is hard bop. That's like straight hard bop. That's a tradition on its own. That's something you could go back to all Wayne Short and all the cats and just study that. But did you find that there was a difference in your approach versus what was happening on the scene?
Well, I didn't see it, but everybody else told me that there was something about my phrasing that was different. I was trying to play like Charlie Parker, like Coltrane, like Wayne Shorter.
Oh, I love
it.
They
said the spacing that you use, the lilt that you follow it has a Caribbean kind of thing to it.
Yeah,
so
it's a little different.
Yeah, they recognize it.
Yeah, but you didn't see it. You didn't see it.
Well, I was trying to get to the source,
Yeah. I love it. I love it because I had a similar experience. I remember playing with Donald Harrison, and we were playing some of the New Orleans Indian stuff, and he was like, "You got to give me that big four. You got you give me that big one, but I need the big four." And it's just the accent wherever you put it. You play in the same rhythm, but where you put the accent made a big difference.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was talking to my good friend Russ Frank Kuumba Lacey. Remember?
Yeah, I know Frank.
And one of the advice that Frank gave me, I was practicing one day. Frank knocked on the door of my practice room, and I opened up the door. He came and he said, "Man, you sound good. You're playing all of this stuff." He said, "But one thing I'm going to tell you, don't forget your culture." He said, "Find a way to incorporate it, not just put it aside." And that's the one advice he gave me, and it stuck with me. It stuck with me.
That's a wise guy, man. He was at Berkeley with me. With me.
Yeah, when I got to Rutgers, he had just left Berkeley and came to Rutgers.
Frank Lacey,
and he would every time he would see me, say, "Man, don't forget your culture. Put a little bit of that in there, and I'll give you a different lean on things." And it made sense because guys like Jeff Watson and Smitty Smith, when I got to New York, they would always come up to me, and Billy Hart used to come to me. Man, you're playing that different swing.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because again, it gave us that phrase. And in jazz, cats on the saxophone, they didn't understand like the quilby, it's same triplet as in jazz, but you say that little, it adds a different flavor onto it.
Sonny Rollins, man.
Oh yeah. Sonny was
Sonny was, and Sonny is New York, it's hardcore New York, but he got that Caribbean thing in him strong,
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah. Sonny made a huge path with the saxophone that just, folks are still trying to emulate it these days.
Right.
But
That's right.
But it's interesting how we all, I'll speak to the cats in my band, and they all kind of say the same thing. Ruben, he's like, "Yeah, when I got to Berkeley, man, I was trying hard to get that swing thing happening, and he got it, But he has his own sound when it comes.
That's right.
We all do, man. So it's really good that you experienced that also. So it just goes to show that it's just a path that we all are on.
Oh yeah.
Really interested. So I would love to play another one of your songs. Is that okay with you?
Yeah. Well, there's a song. Oh, are you gonna take the other one from that? Okay, I'll leave it to you then. You choose whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very nice, man. Very nice. That
Mhm.
has a second line New Orleans vibe.
That's right. That's right. When I was in the Jazz Messengers with Terrence and Brown, they brought that element to some of the music that we were doing. So
Mhm.
I kind of learned about that, but then I saw the similarities with that and calypso. You know,
Right.
there was because the New Orleans cats definitely has a clave in their playing. You know,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah. Definitely.
strongly. You know, so
Definitely. Yeah.
there was a kinship there. You know, that I
Mhm.
wanted to. You know, so that was written for my brother. He's the one on the extreme left. If you're
Okay.
looking at the photo, and
Okay.
it's called New Blues Groove for Brother Hubert. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
So
That's
you
great,
know,
man. You could definitely hear the sounds of the diaspora in all your music.
oh, thank
Is
you, thank you.
is the rhythm is rooted in different elements. If I didn't know you were from the Caribbean and I heard that song, I would immediately say New Orleans.
Right, right, yeah.
So
Well,
it,
that's what I was going for. That's
right, right.
you know.
So it connects. It really connects on
Mm,
a whole nother level. So as you travel the world and play and have this vast wealth of knowledge, and I call it musical arsenal. How do you fit your sound in on the different gigs? Because I know you don't play with everybody all the time, and you get called to travel through Europe and do different things. How do you fit your sound into the different elements? Because not everybody has that rich sound that you have, but
mm.
how do you fit that in?
Well, it's just by being very prepared. You know, well prepared and doing your homework. And if you got a gig coming up, you gotta study the music. You know, you
Hmm.
gotta definitely. And then I guess the people that are hiring you, they're hiring you for the sound that they hear you
Hmm.
doing. So they
Right.
want to add your sound to their thing, you know? So, you know, you just bring what you do and make it work, you know, find a way to make it work. So, but all this music we've been studying it for so long that we kind of get to a level where it's easy to decipher the new things that are coming, you know, and sort of add your own personality to it, you know.
Right. I
Yeah.
like what you said. When someone hires you, they're hiring you for that sound that you're bringing. So it's similar to what you mentioned when you hire people for projects. You know one, they're going to come prepared. They're going to be professional. They're going to learn your music, and they're going to bring that element that you want, that level of professionalism. But that sound, which is an extension or a puzzle, a piece of the puzzle of the diaspora, to all coming together to make that music magic happen. So
Mm,
folks hire you for that. So, and then you said it's personal. So you have to develop your own individual sound. And I think that's what separates jazz musicians from other musicians because,
mm.
and like I played Broadway. I was fortunate to do some wonderful shows on Broadway, and you play the same thing every night, like a
Yeah,
metronome. The same cymbal
yeah,
crash
yeah,
and the same fill and the press roll every night, and it was to a click track and it was timed. And there's some
yeah,
people that
yep.
that's their thing. They do that clockwork. But I'm
Yeah,
gonna tell you, that show finished, and I would run to the nearest jam session just
yeah.
to,
That's right. That's right.
you
Because
know,
the goal of a jazz musician is to bring their personality out in the music that they play, you know. So you develop your musical personality so that you can be identifiable by that. You know, you want to be unique, you know.
yes, yeah. And
That's
we
the
work
goal,
hard.
you know.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
work
we
hard
work hard
studying.
at doing that.
Yeah, we work hard studying the different styles, and like I said, coming from the Caribbean and having to play all those different styles,
Mm,
is something that we thrive ourselves on to be able to play a
mhm.
Latin gig tonight and a jazz gig tomorrow, a big band gig the next day, and
That's
even a
right.
full gig if need be. We thrive ourselves on being able
Mhm.
to be in those different situations. So I think it's a quality that sets us apart from other musicians on any genre. I played country gigs, and boom, chick, bing, chick. You get up there and
Yeah.
you do that all night, and there's some merit to it. There's some merit.
Yeah,
I've learned,
yeah.
and I've learned so much doing those type of gigs. But I
Mm.
find the most rewarding gigs are the ones where I can be creative on.
That's right. That's right. you should always try to be creative in whatever you're doing, even if it's to a click track.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
so
Yes.
you know,
Definitely.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Well, we have about 10 minutes, and I want us to utilize that time to make sure you can share any of your thoughts, any advice or anything you have, projects, anything you want to share with the audience. Um, feel free to give them any advice, listening audience, up and coming musicians, any advice for folks out there.
Well, um, if music is what you want to do, then be serious about it. You know, give it your all. You know, it's hard work, but it's joyful work as well. You know, you can enjoy. You know, because once you've come through that door, you don't have a choice. You can't turn back. You know, that music takes over,
Mhm.
and it drives you to learn as much as you can, so that you can be as creative as you can, and hopefully make a living from it. But that doesn't become the impetus after once you pass that threshold. You don't have
Okay.
a choice. You got to do it. You know, you know whether you make a living out of it or not. You know, hopefully you can make a living. You know, but
Yes.
you don't have a choice. You know, we've been bitten by the bug, so there's no turning back. You know.
There you go. There you go. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I remember talking with Marcellus one time, and he said, if music is the only thing you do, then you have no choice but to do it.
That's right.
And a lot of times I've talked to students and they say, well, I really want to be a professional musician, but I'm going to study this on the side. And if that doesn't work out, then I have this option.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and especially in this day and age with the phones and all this, it's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of, how should I say, supplements that we have with the networks and the Google that we can learn from, but it also becomes a distraction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I try to share with my students, if you focus on doing that and doing it well, it will pay off.
Definitely.
Will pay off. And in this day and age, I think that's one of the things that we can emphasize more to our younger talent coming up, because they don't see that it takes time for all of these lessons to come together. You know, they want it instant, because you could go online and get it instant. You know,
Yeah.
they're really so used to it. So yeah, man. But I think we have time for one more song before we sign off. You had a third song you wanted to share with us?
Yeah. The song "Island Rhythm"
Okay.
was I hope that's the one he's going to play, but that's the one. It has the great Jeff Watts on it, Robert Hurst, the bassist, Mulgrew Miller, who was the pianist with me in Art Blakey's band, and Bill Mobley, the trumpeter. And it's dedicated to St. Thomas, basically, Island Rhythm, you know. And I'm sort of like trying to take the things that I learned growing up in St. Thomas and putting it through all the music that I learned up to that point, you know.
So you're basically doing what we call jazz Caribbean, you know, taking the jazz influence of your profession with the Caribbean upbringing and yeah. So I look, let's hear it. You mind?
All right. Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention the great Cuban congalero Anga Diaz is also on that.
Anga is on that.
Anga's on that. Yeah, with Tane,
Oh
you know.
man, yeah, we lost him too early, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I remember him, man. Yeah,
Mm,
he lived
yeah,
in France.
yeah.
Yeah, great. That's
Yeah.
Tane, Jeff, Tane, Bob Hurst,
Bob Hurst, Mulgrew, Anga,
and
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 and Bill
uh,
Mobley.
that's a great band, man.
Yeah.
Some heavy rhythms there.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Heavy
So it
rhythms.
all comes together. It all comes together, you know.
All comes together, yeah. And it's funny,
Yeah.
like I'm listening as a drummer, I'm listening to Jeff play the island rhythm, and I'm hearing how
Hmm.
he incorporates, the different rhythmic patterns. It's almost like a half songo calypso that he's playing.
Hmm.
Is a
Yeah.
it's a fusion of both, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, that's great, man. That's a beautiful song.
Oh,
It's
thank you. Thank you.
a lot of great music, man. So, how do you feel living in England all of this time? Playing all that wonderful music over there. Do you miss St. Thomas? Do you miss New York? I mean,
Of course,
I
of
saw
course.
you one time at the Smoke. Remember years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
You don't get over this way too much, but
No, I don't. I miss it. I miss it. But we got to do what we got to do. So life goes on. I miss St. Thomas a lot. I miss the Virgin Islands.
uh,
But it's a long way, and I understand. To try to get me to come over there, it's very expensive. So that kind of gets in the way.
mhm,
That kind of stop things from happening.
yeah.
But I live in hope. You know.
Mhm.
But I'm
Well,
getting a lot of playing done on this side of the world. So, as long as I get to do the things that I love, I'm
mhm.
happy.
That's good. That's good. I'm happy to hear that, man. We've worked on trying to get you over here. We're going to continue to do that. That's
Mm,
one of our
yeah, I
goals.
know.
Get you
Yeah.
back over. But let me ask you this: the from an education standpoint, because one of the things that I found as we before we play this song, we was talking about sharing information with the younger generation. One of the things that I found is that a lot of the younger kids are missing a lot of the historical components because so many clubs are gone, and
Mm,
our icons we're losing our icons, so the music is not as readily accessible, and it's not on the radio. In New York,
mm.
besides WBGO, I know there's a couple NPR station that's doing some things. Um, how involved are you in education?
Oh, I teach. I mean, I came through Art Blakey, and Art
Yeah.
Blakey used to always say, if you don't pass this music on, it's gonna die. So you got to teach other people. You got to pass it on and create the new stars of the future, basically.
Hmm.
So I teach a lot of people, and I've been teaching ever since I got here. And it's one of the ways of learning as well. Teaching teaches you.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
it's a good way to really solidify what your foundation, by teaching it.
In order to teach, especially if you have talented students, you have to have your stuff in order to share that information. That's
That's
one of the
right.
things I like about it. I've never really jumped head on into being an educator until later in my career. I decided
Hmm.
I wanted to travel first and get the experience because
Hmm.
when I was coming up, so many music educators that I knew talked about performing and talked about going on the road and maybe did one or two gigs. And I had a couple of friends that say, hey, man, before you settle in as an educator, go on the road, make some CDs, do
Hmm.
those things. So when you have students that ask you about it, you can say, hey, man, I'm
Yeah,
on this
that's right.
CD. Like you mentioned, Suito Kinch. I was
Hmm.
fortunate right before the pandemic to do a tour in Finland with him. And
Oh, okay.
we did a recording during the pandemic for
Hmm.
uh, trombonist out of Germany, and the project just came up. So that's the first time we met and we connected. Like you said,
Mm.
coming from the diaspora background, we connected immediately,
Oh,
and all the
definitely.
band. I mean, we just had fun. We just got together, rehearsed, did the tour, and it was just so much fun. But I think education is a huge component. And the one thing that I like is that a lot of cats our age are seeing the value of education.
Hmm.
A
Hmm.
lot of seeing the value of education, and they're actually making making a conscious effort to pass and be more of a role model and mentor
Mm.
for the upcoming generation. So I think there's an opportunity for the sustainability of this music to
Oh,
be
definitely.
to
Definitely.
go off and to just to keep going. But we definitely um we definitely have to do our part, and I know you're doing your part. I've
Mm.
been hearing about you for so many
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
and man, I can never thank you enough for being on this show. It's just an honor to have
Oh,
you here.
thank you. Thanks for having me, man. I just want to add something to the educational thing we were talking about.
Mm,
A lot of students take for granted that there's a whole lot of wealth of information on YouTube now that we
Mhm.
didn't have coming up. I don't know if you had it, but I definitely didn't have it. All the videos of Coltrane and
Mhm.
whatnot, and to study, So historically, you can find a lot of stuff online
Mhm.
and use to your advantage.
Definitely.
It's all there. The internet is great at that. It just gives you so much information that you don't know where to go. You kind of like overwhelmed by it, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of history there, man, that
Oh yeah. Yeah. It
I
is.
wish I had coming up, because we didn't. All we had were the records, which was great
Yeah.
because historically we learned from those records.
Yeah.
But
We learned from
now,
the records that it forced us to communicate with each other and share information as well.
that's
So
right. That's
it
right.
built a bond between us. And if I knew something and you knew something, we would share information.
Yeah.
And so I think there's pros and cons on all sides. Yes, the
Hmm.
internet has a wealth of information. That's not going to
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that can be developed more in the younger generation is the social component. The
Mm.
social
Oh yeah.
component
Yeah. Yeah.
and exchanging that information. So I really
Hmm.
would like to see that interaction more, and those cats coming up, more jam sessions where cats can come out and play and
Yeah.
express themselves and learn the tradition of the music, because there's a
That's right.
movement among some of these young cats where like they just feel that standards is not valuable, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. they
and,
want
and
to they want to reinvent the wheel. I mean, it's been done, man. There's nothing new under the sun.
expand upon it. Like my
Yeah.
teachers would always say to me, learn the rules and then break the rules.
That's right.
You
You got to
know,
learn them before you can break them.
you gotta learn them before you break them,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then when you start breaking them, it's still a point of departure that your
That's
listening
right.
audience can say, oh wow, like that last tune you played, Island Rhythm, it's like, elements of traditional, harmonies and bebops in there, and rhythm
Hmm.
changes kind of,
Yeah.
oh, you can hear those type of things in there, and it makes the listener say, oh, that's recognizable. It's
Yeah.
a song, but there's elements of familiarity that draws the listener in, and that's what we want to keep. We want to keep the listener entertained.
Yeah. It's about having a strong foundation.
Definitely,
Definitely,
definitely.
because you have something to build upon. You
Yes,
know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't you can't build a building from the roof. You got to start from the bottom.
Got to start from the
And
bottom. Definitely,
and
definitely.
build it up.
Yes, yes.
So music is the same.
Music is the same, man. And
Hmm.
and I understand you have one more song, right? You have 4 songs.
Yeah, yeah. I have a ballad which was written for my son, and
Okay,
it's entitled "Tate Song." It's dedicated to him.
okay. Let's
Uh, oh, he doesn't have the cover for it, but okay,
it's a
it's
different
all right.
cover.
It's a different cover. Oh, I think we got our wires crossed there a little bit because that's the Gershwin tune.
Yes,
You
yes,
can't take that away from me, the Gershwin
yeah,
tune. I'd sent a replacement for that, but
yeah.
there you have it.
This is nice though. This is really nice. I enjoy
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
with Mulgrew and Robert Hurst and Tane
Okay.
again.
The same rhythm
Same
section.
band, yeah, as Blue Black,
Okay, nice,
from
man.
from that record. Yeah,
Cool. And that was what 90. What year was
that
that?
was 2001.
2001. Okay,
Yeah. hmm
nice, nice. And again, you guys have the history coming through the messengers and Berkeley and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I was at Berkeley with Tane, and Robert Hurst I met in New York
Hmm.
through Branford's and Winton's bands,
Right.
and
Great.
obviously Mulgrew was in the Messengers with me. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's some history there.
Great. Well, this has been wonderful, man, and very informative on my end, and I learned a lot.
Mm.
And this is our first show, Sounds of the Diaspora, and we would love to have you back at some point to continue this conversation and
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love
expand
to.
on the diaspora.
hmm
Yeah, because you have a lot of information, wealth of information.
Thanks for having me, man. And I hope this goes well for you. It's a great project, and it's well needed as well. So good luck to
Yes,
you on that, man. And I hope it goes where it should, you know.
Definitely. Well, I really appreciate your support. And again, we'll do whatever we can to share any projects you have going on. Also, please let us know because we love to share it with our listening audience around the world because there's folks everywhere listening to you. And
Okay.
I won't be surprised if you gain some new fans tonight.
Okay. I hope so. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. So thank you, John. And again, all the best to you in your endeavors and continue success. Continue all the great things you're doing, education-wise, performing-wise, and all of that. Any last words you would like to give to our listening audience?
Well, just keep on listening to the music and keep supporting live music wherever you see it. You know, because we need audience.
Yes.
You know, we need that live audience. That's why we do it. We do it for the people. You know, we don't play for ourselves. We play for people. So if they don't come, you know, we can't do it. So we need that.
Definitely. Again, man, thank you, John, the wonderful, talented John Toussaint. Man, it's so glad to again. Always a pleasure, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Take care of
Thanks for
yourself,
having me.
and we'll be in touch.
All right, you too, man. Take care.
All of us. Yes, that was John Toussaint, wonderful saxophonist, raised in St. Thomas, played with Al Blake and the Jazz Messengers. As you heard, his musical background kind of mentors and mirrors a lot of my background, coming from the Virgin Islands. You heard we experienced a lot of the same things getting to America and kind of just jumping heads on into the jazz scene. So we're very excited to have had him on the show, and we hope to have him in the future. I would like to let you guys know before I leave that next week we have another wonderful and amazing guest, my good friend, my dear friend, my brother in arms, brothers, Mr. Herlin Riley from New Orleans. He played with Wynton Marsalis and the Jazz Orchestra for many years, and I had the pleasure of hanging out with him in New York this summer, and we even shared the stage on a couple songs. You know how drummers do while someone is playing, and you come and you take the stick and you jump on the stage, and we did one of those magic tricks during a performance in New York this summer. So we're gonna have the one and only Mr. Herlin Riley, homie, on the show next week. So join us as we bring a whole nother sound of the diaspora to our show for your listening pleasure and for your informative pleasure as well. So my name is Dion Parson. It's been an honor and a pleasure to perform and present for our group. Sound of pleasure. Thank you. Have a good evening.